Well, it is great to have an old friend on. Dan Otero joins us from Major League Baseball. Have you been? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it sounds a real professional hearing that title, but thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, a lot has changed. Just tell us, how is life in I guess the front offices of Major League Baseball?
It's been nice. I've been able to work remotely, live at home, and really have try to have an impact on the game, especially this last year and a half. A lot of those rule changes coming in. It's been an exciting time. So I've been out at spring training. I'm actually at Palm Beach right now, watching the Nationals Cardinals, making sure all these rules are being applied properly.
We're so happy for you. We caught up with Rajay Davis down in San Diego for the winter meetings, of course, former athletic, to see all these former A's being out there and inside baseball. It's really fantastic. And, when I think about your career, covering your career, really Oakland was the spot where you figured it out and you blossomed.
Yeah, it was a huge, 3 years for me. They gave me that second opportunity in the big leagues, and I can't thank them enough from the front office all the way down to the players, clubhouse staff, training staff. Obviously, Bob Melvin was a great manager. Still get to see him now. Every now and then, he's doing great things in San Diego. And Kurt Young, the pitching coach, had a big impact on my career. So I can't, thank the Oakland organization and the fans enough for my 3 years there.
And if you remember, man, all of a sudden you became a workhorse. I mean, they were giving you the ball a ton. I mean, when you look back at just the volume, just you can look at the numbers. The numbers speak for themselves. But all of a sudden, you became in the midst of being on a really good team, and the volume of taking the ball was so impressive.
Yeah, I mean that was so much fun, and those are fun teams to be on. The bullpens down there. We were such a tight knit group. Balfour down there as the closer, and then Cook and Doolittle. Then you brought in Gregerson and Jim Johnson and Jesse Chavez, and Blevins was there. So it was just an easy group to get in with. And my shoulder is definitely feeling that workhorse innings that I threw there, but it's okay. I don't need to throw the ball anymore. My dog doesn't run very fast, so it's okay.
We've talked about the rule changes for years. And, as someone that talks before the game and especially after the game, I mean, I could just notice over the years, we're just getting longer. I'm getting home later and later. And you just start to think, like, how can you go to work the next day? How can you take your kids? I mean, these games, the average game is 3:04, but we're seeing games that are 3:30, 3:40. It's just too late. And I know you guys as players started to really feel it too, how long these games are getting. Just now that we're starting to see it, not from the minor leagues, but actually in spring training games, we're seeing, wow, this pitch timer, we don't call it a clock, but the pitch timer really changes. Even spring training games that were notoriously way too long.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, as a player, the games were taking so long too, and you wanted to get home to your family. So I think it was, something had to be done. And now that we do have the pitch timer, you're seeing it right now in spring training. Like the other day, I was here at a game and it was 2:07, and it was a well pitched game. Even the games that are 10-9, 11-8, they're taking 2:48 or 2:50 as opposed to the 3:50 or 4:07 time. So I think it's been overwhelmingly positive, even from the players. We're just down in the dugout talking to some Cardinals coaches and Nationals coaches, and they were saying how much the players are adjusting to it and actually love it because they like the crispness of it, the pace of it. So the fans are going to love it. I think the players are going to love it. I think the product on the field is going to be tremendous.
A lot of people don't talk about the health aspect of it. Some have, but not enough, because in a sport where you play every day and you stand around every day, people don't think about all the standing around. The workouts before, guys are working out even before batting practice, and then now you're out on your feet all day long, running and sliding and everything. Do you think that less time, faster game will help with less injuries?
Well, I mean, I hate to speculate, but I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I know based on the research from the minor leagues, injuries actually went down for some reasons, but one was the bigger bases at first base. So those injuries at first base went down. And then there wasn't a spike in injuries at all in pitchers because of the decreased time in between pitches. So, we're hopeful that it doesn't have really a huge impact on injuries. That's the last thing we ever want in this game. But we did see a positive trend, at least around the base at first base. So, I think in that regard, I think it's going to be really good.
One thing that I've noticed just watching, not only, watching some of the A's games, but watching these other games on MLB Network is ground ball base hits. They're like all over the place. And actually our old first baseman, Matt Olson, has actually gotten some ground ball base hits to the right side that wouldn't have happened with shifts. That was dead for left-handed hitters. And I know we're not setting defenses right now, so we'll see. But how much do you think this really, now that we've seen it for a few games, how much is the non-shifting, two guys on each side, really going to change for the offense, especially left-handed hitters?
Yeah, well, I always hated spring training because the grounds were so hard. Ground ball base hits went through everywhere, I felt like. And I wanted the grass as high as possible. So I don't know if I would like these rules as a pitcher. No, I'm kidding. But talking with some infield coaches, they're interested in seeing how they're going to align their defenses based on that because now they can no longer have three on one side of the infield. But, one of the main objectives from eliminating shifts was to create more action. So if we can get more of those ground ball base hits and if left-handed hitters are going to be more apt to just put the ball in play instead of swinging for the fences, I think that achieves that goal. Base runners, action on the bases is what some of these rules are aimed to do. So I'm excited to see what happens. Again, I don't know who's going to be maybe positively affected by it more than others, but I do think overall it's going to be great for the game.
Now, the unknown here is stolen bases. We saw some guys go way up like we're back in the 80s again, and guys can do. And we just got Ruiz, who he can put up 80 stolen bases in a minor league season. What are the expectations from Major League Baseball with the new rules? The disengagement can only go over so many times. What does Major League Baseball, what have you guys talked about? What would you like to see from a stolen base standpoint?
Well, I don't think it's what we would like to see, but what we did see in the minors was an uptick in stolen bases and a big uptick in success rate. So I think Raj right now is actually dusting off his pants, to try to get back out there as a pinch runner somewhere because with the limited disengagements, like you said, base runners could have more of an opportunity to take that 90 feet. But at the end of the day, it's going to be strategy, and front offices are going to have to make that risk assessment to whether they are going to start allowing their base runners to have that green light all the time. We're hopeful that it does happen because I think fans really want to see it. And I think pitchers are going to have to adjust to maybe now instead of being 1.35 to the plate or 1.4, they may have to be in the low 1.3s to eliminate, a base stealer. So I think it's going to affect a lot of different parties, but I think we are going to see an uptick in stolen bases, which is an exciting play in baseball.
I'll tell you what, seeing Rajai Davis in San Diego, he looks like he could still play.
He's ready. He's ready.
Get him on the phone. I know the Dodgers already got injuries. Can we see Rajai Davis center field at Chavez Ravine? That would be hilarious, but he definitely looks great. There's always the negative, too. We can sit here because we're all for it. We want to see the game changed. There's the people that don't. But you know what? They'll get used to it. My question would be on the negative. Have you heard anything from coaches, players, or maybe even concerns that they may have about the implementation of these new rules?
Yeah, I think anytime it's an unknown, there's always that concern. And I think a lot of the negatives were before games started. And now that the games have started, I think coaches and players have seen it in action. And I think a lot of those concerns have kind of waned a little bit. There's still the element of once the regular season begins, everything's heightened. How's this going to work out? But by then, everybody will have 3 or 4 weeks of it in practice. And so we think it's going to become the norm and everybody's pace is going to pick up. But yeah, there's always some concerns because it was unknown. But I think a lot of those have already been alleviated just from 3 or 4 games in these spring training.
Yeah, that's interesting from a standpoint of like when you change things in the NFL, you only have 4 preseason games throughout the years. Now they've changed that, but also, they only have a handful of preseason games in the NBA. You've got over a month to figure out, all right, these are the rules. Get your butt in the box, engage with the pitcher before 8 seconds. The disengagement, bigger bags, no shifting. Dan, you got to think you got over a month to figure it out. If you can't figure it out over a month,
you have over a month of games. Plus, you had all off season because all these rules were, relayed to the clubs right at the end of the season. So, pitchers, coaches, batters, front offices, they've had all off season to prepare. And, that was the messaging to a lot of these clubs in the off season is the better you can prepare yourself, that's going to be your competitive advantage, with other clubs if you know these rules. And, we love going around to ballparks right now to make sure that all questions are answered, but players are adjusting. They're buying in. They know it's here. They know it's here to stay. And, they're going to put a great product on the field. They're the best in the world.
How important has it been for Major League Baseball to bring guys like you in? So when you go to like Cardinals camp or you come to A's camp or Grapefruit League, Cactus League, that players are getting messages from former players and just not executives from New York. How big has that been?
I don't know. I guess you have to ask the players when we talk to them. But I'm grateful for the opportunity. It was a very unique opportunity to work on this side, and I think what we do offer is a perspective as a former player, and we can talk in that same language, maybe as the current crop of players, and we know their concerns, because we've been out there, and we have Gregor Blanco here also, and Raul Ibanez along with Rajay. So there's quite a bit of experience, and then CC Sabathia also helps out quite a bit. So when you have a guy like Raul Ibanez going to the clubhouse, he gains immediate respect, from players. And when, we're talking, we try to, be truthful to them and be as transparent as we can, because that's what we want. We want to work in collaboration with the players and ultimately provide such a great game for the fans, because that's what this game's all about too, is the fans.
I think about the word trust. There hasn't been a whole lot of trust between New York, the commissioner, the owners, Tony Clark, players union, and the players. I kind of see your guys' role, and maybe there's going to be more of you down the line, that you kind of help establish that trust because you've now been on both sides. You now get to see the commissioner, owner / the business side. Do you think your guys' role is starting to help with that trust between the players and the owners?
That's the hope and that's the aim. That was one of the big draws of taking this job. That's how Raul kind of pitched it to me. And, we love the game of baseball. And I think that's the overall sentiment in the office. Even everybody I've met within the commissioner's office loves the game of baseball and wants to see it succeed. So I think that's a, strong similarity across everyone. And yeah, we hope that there develops that trust so we can work collaboratively with everyone, and at the end of the day, keep growing this game and bringing in more young kids and increasing the fan base and increasing the popularity because, it's been around for 120, 130 years. We want to keep it growing in the right direction, so it's still at the peak, in another 100 years.
Well, today we've got a real special game going between the Angels and the Athletics where you have our new Japanese pitcher, Shintaro Fujinami, he likes to be called Fuji, up against Shohei Ohtani. I mean, you've been a part of these games where you have international stars. Just how great is this for our game where you got two pitchers that are going to be on the mound, even though it could be an inning or two, but people on MLB.com are going to be watching worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing for the game. What Shohei has done the last few years is unfathomable. I mean, I cannot still put into words how incredible he has been the last 2 years as a player. To be top five in the Cy Young, top five in the MVP as a hitter, it's just incredible. And it's going to be great to see that matchup. And that's what we're also trying to do in our role is to grow the game into different regions of the world that maybe it's not exposed to yet. So to see that, I think it's going to be great to see. And with the World Baseball Classic coming up too, it's another stage where we're going to see players from all across the globe, compete on one field, which is, again, great for the sport.
Whenever we have ex-A's players, we want to know, what are you doing beyond this job with Major League Baseball? How is life for you? What's been going on in the Otero world?
Well, stay busy. I have three young girls, age 9, 7, 5. So I stay busy with making breakfast, making lunches as much as I can, doing carpool every now and then to gymnastics, and then just kind of hanging out with the family when I'm home, really relaxing and just stepping away from it as much as I can because I don't have to worry about wins and losses per se as much now in this role, which is another thing I kind of like. They take the stresses off of those big pitches in the, top of the ninth inning or something like that. So, it's a lot of family time when I can get it, which I truly enjoy.
Yeah, you're waking up and you're not coming in with guys on and everybody and just fire. It's a fire alarm going on. You don't have to do that anymore.
No, when the phone rings, I don't jump anymore. Now it's like it's okay. I'm at ease.
Well, thanks so much for the time. It's great to see you. Great to hear from you. And let's check in later this season to see how the roll's going and how all these rules are being implemented and how things are just better for our game.
Yeah, that's the hope. Thanks a lot, Chris. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. Take care, Dan.